Hey shrub crafters, welcome back. So I figure following up our video the other day from the CVA Varmint Hunter 243, I wanted to get into, I've kind of mentioned a few times about this firearm, which is the Bergara B-14, and how this was my other lemming, so I'm batting 100% failed guns out of the box. So I figured, why not get into that? So let's get in here. The B-14 308 comes with an adjustable stock length of pull. Spacer systems come in with a hook style spacers on the back. Just unscrew, loosen, pull them right off. Adjustable riser. And the I don't remember now. I got to double check. I don't believe. Yes, no, it does not. This is the funny part about this. Does not come with the one-piece base. It comes as a Remington 700 pattern action. Comes with a barrel that is utilizing the Remington recoil lug that beds into the front of the action, and they call this their mini chassis. It's an aluminum block inside with a free float bull barrel, and this profile closely matches the old Remington pattern of barrel. It's not their M24 style. It's similar, but not quite. It's more like the Senderos. That said, so let's just get into it. First off, action, silky smooth. Comes with an oversized knob, and it is threaded. This one, sadly, was the last one at my local dealer, and was got a little bit of wear right here where it was handled and rubbing up against other firearms. And it comes standard with a polymer AICS pattern mag labeled for Bergaras, but that means it uses the Magpul mags, so you can go any size you want. These are MDT. These mags, I believe they don't make anymore, but these are the metal uppers, with metal feed lips on top of a polymer with a side window. 10 rounders, which makes for a very nice shooting and for bench rest. Now, a lot of people get into this gun because they want a precision bolt gun that they can use in PRS, or they want to just target shoot, or they want to plink, etc. So, sorry, my door keeps opening because I have cats playing. Hi, I got one on each side of the door. So to get into it, originally I decided, I'm a big 308 guy. As you know, I love black powder firearms, and outside of that, my true love really comes down to is my original. When I was, 18, I decided I wanted to get a bull barrel 308, and I wanted the Remington because they dominated the sniper market from the 60s on with the M40s. That said, which this does not look like it, but we'll go into it later. This is an original 1998 edition Remington PSS with a 26-inch barrel. This is a clamp-on break because I did not want to thread this barrel. This gun shoots lights out. It is right now currently sporting an MDT chassis. This is their Faxon, which was for, I think, the F7 or something like that. But it is aluminum chassis, and I have the loopholed Mark IV, and this is the 6 through 24 thing. So we'll get into this gun at another time, but this is the original PSS 26-inch barrel. And that said, it comes with the nice HS Precision stock, which back in the day was the stock. Police sharpshooters is one name. Precision Sniper System is another name, but the lingo changed. They originally came out with the PSS because they had the M40 sniper rifle, which was released during Vietnam, sporting the wood stock, then into a synthetic stock, and then from the synthetic stock they went to their different variations. The Marines kept that. Eventually started doing their own barrels and actions all the way through. Remington continued to make them, and the PSS was actually produced with the same R5 barrels in the custom shop, so they were actually higher quality fit. Many police units use them as sniper systems, and I, as an 18-year-old kid, wanted a gun that I could go kill deer with and tromp through the woods, but also shoot all day long without having to worry about my groups expanding. So anyway, like most things, I love a good bolt gun, and Remingtons tend to be my love. I love that action. I love the short action 308, and I really like how it hunts. That said, 6.5. If I was going to tell anybody what gun to get nowadays, I would suggest getting into a 6.5 Creedmoor. I remember when they came out new around 2007, and I was like, what's this crap? You know, just another hot rodded target round. Ignored them for years, and I didn't actually get a 6.5 until I think 3 or 4 years ago. Finally got it because I was looking for less recoil while still putting meat on the table. And I'll tell you what, the 6.5, many people say it's a terrible round, bleed more, you know, all sorts of stuff. With the right reload, I have put one shot dead right there, 6 or 7 deer now. You know, with one shot using the Hornady SST 123 grains on my hand load, and that's using IMR 4350. And I want to say I'm running right around 42 grains of powder on that. That said, this last year I decided I wanted to get another one and leave my PSS because I've always, you know, back and forth changing actions, things, and just playing, having fun as we do. And so I decided I wanted a 6.5 and I wanted a nice A5 style of stock, the old Macmillan style, but I wanted it on a ready-made gun. So this is this stock right here, which came on my Bergara. So I bought it at Bass Pro. You spend $1,000 on these guns. I called, they said they had the 6.5. You know, I asked all the questions. I drove all the way out to a Bass Pro. And of course, they had a left-hand 6.5. So the guy told me it was right-handed, but that's okay. They had a 308, so I took 308 since I already reloaded for it. It wasn't my first choice. I probably should have just walked away at that point. However, I drove, you know, quite a ways to get there, and I decided I'll take it. So unlike many people who buy guns, I go straight back to my house and I slap scopes on and I go immediately start shooting. Luckily, I had an EGW. An EGW, I believe, makes Night Force rails so that you can put it on for the scope. So I use a one-piece base, and that was I want to say, I started with a 20 MOA rail. That's what I had, put it on there, and I slapped on, I forget which scope. I did a scope originally, and I think I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. And then I decided I was going to put a different scope, you know, as we're going, trying some things. So get to the range. I start out with some factory ammo as well as my reloads. I start shooting and I go for groups, and you know, and they guarantee the accuracy on this gun. We'll get into that too soon. The neat thing about this was I got there, I went to 50 yards, did a quick bore sight, which, and by bore sighting on a bolt action, take the bolt out, put it in something stable, look through the actual action, line it up to your target, match your crosshairs, pull the trigger. You can usually do a one shot on the paper and then adjust and you're ready to go. So I did that. And then I shot groups. I shot a 5-shot group, and it was about a 3-inch group. And I was like, So I double checked scope, I checked base, checked rings, everything's tight. So I was like, maybe it just doesn't like that ammo. So I swapped to a different ammo. So I did 150s, 147s that I had some surplus ammo, 165s, 168s, and something else, and a variety of those. Boat tail, also flat base, spire points, soft points. I tried IMR 3031, H40, or was it IMR 48, or 4198, 4895. Yeah, and 3031, I had some light loads for what I think it was the 4198. 4895 was giving me some really good groups in other guns. And so I just couldn't get a group that was smaller than 1.5 to 1.75 consistently with 5 shots. Sorry, cat's jumping in the window. So I was boggled. So I cleaned it, you know, shot it, cleaned it, didn't clean it, shoot it. So that first day I went through roughly 100 rounds of ammo, breaking it in nice and easy, nice and slow. And I actually did this at my gun range and then out in the woods here as well, because I wanted a nice setup platform, make sure I wasn't doing anything. So couldn't get a group less than 1.5 inches. So I took everything apart, looked at it, retightened everything. When I say took everything apart, checked the action screws, rechecked the torque specs, checked the base, all that, put it back together, shot again. Did another 100 rounds. Now 200 rounds in 2 days. Still couldn't get it to group under 1.5 inches with a 5-shot group. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all over. Nothing consistent. So I reached out to my uncle and I said, hey, I can't figure this out. So, he said, double check everything, retighten it again. So I did. I did a little bit of researching online as well. And CVA Bergara is known now to have an issue with what they call overspray of their stocks onto the mini action, which then covers the aluminum bedding, and that can interfere with the bedding of the gun. Okay, I researched that. So I took the stock apart and I looked on the inside, and I had complete coverage all the way down in here over the bedding action and over this one as well. So I took some acetone. Well, first I called Bergara, and that was the first time I was introduced to Robbie. Robbie gave me the advice. He goes, yeah, there's sometimes overspray, so go ahead and take the take some acetone and clean it up. So I stripped everything from the paint, got it all together, put it all back together, took it out to shoot, and once again I couldn't get it to group for shit. Took the scope off, swapped to the current scope that's on there, which is an Athlon ETR, the Athlon Midas 5-25 by 56. I checked that one, first focal plane. I mean, I'm zooming right in 25 power at 100 yards, and I locked it in a shooting vise. That wasn't working, so then I took it off, put it in a bag. That wasn't working. I just could not get it to group. So talking to my uncle, I gave it to him, and so he did some checking, and the recoil lug was not actually making any contact. The most we got was about a 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to see, you may or may not be able to see where the action black and that paint. So you have this whole channel, and all that was getting was that top little bit right there where that is missing. So that's unacceptable. So he went ahead and tried to relieve some of the stock in front and rear, so this action is actually slightly sticking up. Tried that, put it back together, took it to range, and it was a little bit better, but it wasn't great. So back to Bergara, we call them. They decided to ship out a free stock to me. So I take that stock and put it on the gun, or as while I'm waiting for that stock, I decided to pull this action. Took the action and threw my Remington PSS action into the other stock, and it didn't work. Terrible, nothing. So I took that back out, took this Bergara action and threw it in the PSS stock, which was shooting hole through hole groups with that gun, and it shot perfect. Now, one of the things that they tell you to do on the action of the Bergara to guarantee their MOA is that you're using 3-shot groups. This is their criteria. It's on their website listed, and they'll also tell you that you have 3-shot groups. You must use 168 grain federal gold medal match, FGMM. You might see that on the forums. And 3-shot groups. And I said, well, what passes? And they said, well, 3 shots. If it passes, they shoot another 3-shot group. If it passes the second 3-shot group, it's a sub-MOA gun. I got a cat right here. This is our newest little kitty cat. She is creeping her way over, making a mess. So if it fails one of the first 2 groups, it gets a 3rd group. And if it passes the 3rd group, come here, Carmen. Whee! Here's Carmen. Say hi, Carmen. Hello, Carmen. Hello, Carmen. Yes. So, if it passes 2 of 3 groups, 3-shot groups with only 168 grain federal gold medal match ammo, it is considered sub-MOA. If you shoot a 4-shot group, it doesn't count. You shoot a 5-shot group, it doesn't count. I asked them on the phone, I said, please tell me exactly how long I need to wait between shooting groups. They said a minimum of 10 minutes. So I shot 1 3-shot group locked in a vise with federal gold medal match, which costs $30+ a box. I waited 10 minutes and I shot another one, and I failed miserably, close to 2-inch groups with federal gold medal match in their stock. The other stocks comes in. I take it, I swap it. I said, I'm going to the range. I go straight to the range that same day. I take more of the federal gold medal match, and I shoot a 10-shot group out of my PSS in the actual HS precision stock, not the chassis. And that groups, sub-MOA out of that gun. So then I go to another 308 I have, and that shoots sub-MOA 3-shot group as well. and then I put it into the Bergara, and I shoot a sub MOA group just barely, like right at 1 inch. Okay, wait 10 minutes, shoot another 3-shot group, and I get 2 holes touching, 1 slightly high, about a 1 inch group. Meets sub MOA, because remember, MOA is a little more than 1 inch, so it passes. I took it apart, cleaned it, tightened everything back down, tried it again, seemed to work. So then I went back to my hand loads. With my hand loads, I found a couple of loads that actually shoot really well. But I can't get a hole through hole with a 5-shot group. My PSS, the most I have, and I got a target somewhere here, has 18 of 20 rounds hole through hole at 100 yards just off of a bipod. At 300 yards, I've got a target that is sub MOA. It's actually a 2-inch group at 300 yards using one of my hand loads, which for me is actually really good, considering that the scope that's on there is actually an old Leupold 1998 VX3 Tactical, which was the mil-dot version, and so has second focal plane. So that gun is more than capable. I can shoot groups. I've actually been repetitive with that on multiple guns. And with my 6.5s, I can actually do really well because it defeats the wind a little bit better at 300. That said, I go to the Bergara, I took it out to 300, and my groups opened up. And again, I was right over 3 inches, so I was actually probably 3.5 inches. So I lost my sub MOA with that on a couple of the groups, but it is meeting their criteria. So a 3-shot, sub MOA, wait 10 minutes, don't have to clean it, but another 10 minutes, let it very cool, do it again. 5-shot groups, I can't really hold a sub MOA with this, even with this configuration, with or without muzzle brake. And I should say that. So in my testing, I said with or without muzzle brake, and said shipped as the gun comes. So I took the muzzle brake off, shot my groups with that. I actually put the muzzle brake on, shot it again. There was no difference with the new stock. The other thing that I found, my uncle found, was that the action was a little out of true. So with the EGW 20 MOA rail that I had on there, I wasn't making full contact either. So the solution was to either change to a different rail, which he actually had a Leupold because he wanted to do, so he swapped me with a Leupold 0 MOA, which is fine because it's not going to be, this gun's not going to be used past 600. I mean, it will be for fun, but it's not going to be, tried past that. So put the Leupold on, and he cleaned up the edges so it's mated 100%, and so we know we're embedded there. So there were just a slew of issues. Search internet forums, and I'm not the only one who does that and says the same thing. So I've talked on Reddit to a few people. They had some similar issues. I told them what my solution was, and overall it works. Some of their other guns are coming out good. I think it was a series of them, and I believe that this one is just one of those that had that issue. Let me see. I'm trying to remember serial number over here. So this is a 23 made gun, even though I picked it up at the September of 2024. This is the Apollo brake and Apollo Max, I think, Ultradyne. And so works extremely well, takes out recoil, and it is a fun gun to shoot. But highly disappointing, and I'll tell you, before I got to this gun being comfortable, and I'll tell you, I still don't have 100% confidence in it because I spent a lot of time getting this tuned, which is very costly for most of us. Let's face it, if I didn't have the ability to reload, and frankly, with reloading prices, I didn't really save much. And then trying different powders, because originally I was like, well, maybe it just doesn't like this, maybe it likes that, maybe, So, with a 1 in 10 twist barrel, it should shoot these things no problem, and it was struggling. That said, it's a sexy gun, in my opinion. The action is very smooth. And the trigger pull, again, make sure I'm empty here. I have a snap cap somewhere, but that's okay. If it breaks, it'll be another call, but trigger pull is extremely light. So it's a solid, there's no take up. It's about 3 pounds tested on my scale. So Bergara, they got great reviews for a long time, and it's kind of like anything, they hit the market. They got picked up for a long time, and people shoot them, and it's a great entry-level gun for PRS and long range. But be aware that you may have these similar issues with it. It is nice because you don't have to, what started me down the journey of that was the HS Precision stock in the old days was, not detachable box mag, it was internal mag, and it had hinged floor plate. and that was the M40 style. And I've always wanted a detachable box mag for that. And so I was like, yep, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this. I'm going to hear, and after a while, you're just like, yeah, I still want that, but I might as well just get a new gun for that. And so I did, because there's that nostalgia as I go back and forth. And even this chassis on this Remington is probably going to come off. I'm probably going to put the Remington back in the PSS, the HS Precision stock in its original form, just because it's comfortable to shoot that way. And it's just sexy to me. That is the original sniper rifle, of my generation, I guess, or in previous generations up to and including mine before they started changing them into the subsequent variances you have today. It's just a sexy gun to me. And I've killed a bunch of deer with it. The overall, for $1,000 gun, it's hard pressed to say spend your money here when for $500 more or $800 more you can get yourself into a Tikka action. So I almost would say save your money and go to the next one, unless you really like that 700 pattern. It just, you can get into pre-fit barrels too now with the Aero 700 action. The issue with Aero, though, I hear, is that they are poor communicators. They take extremely long lead times to get a product to you, so you don't actually want to buy from their website unless you're in for a wait. So then you would just, instead of buying from them, you can go to one of their resellers. But they, Aero does actually put some really good prices on those actions. And what's nice is you can get a pre-fit barrel that can be threaded right in, and you don't have to worry about your headspace issues compared to having to actually go off of a shoulder or the face of the barrel in your recoil lug. It is a great gun for $9.99. I think out of the box, I would expect it to have a functional stock. I would expect those issues to not exist in that. When I researched who was making these, there's a company with a J something Precision. I forget who it is now. They are the ones who manufacture these stocks for them. They come from them, and then they just take these actions and put them in. And again, made in Spain with a Bergara barrel. So I was a little late to the Bergara party. I really wished I had the 6.5 instead of the 308 at that point. But happy I've got it now, and with a slightly shorter barrel, it is a comfortable shooter. And as I continue to shoot this, it probably will break in a little more potentially once I find a load that it really loves. Some of my hand loads with the 4895 are actually really good. I've gotten actually a few into the 0.7 to 0.8 range, but not consistently. It's more of a 0.9 to a 1.1 grouping gun. Whereas I can shoot other guns right by it, and I can get 0.3 to 0.7 in their 3 and 5 shot group when I do. But the Bergara, after 3 shots, does start to jump, even in the best rest that I've had. I've had other shooters try it, and we've had some good ones. We've shot this gun out. I've shot it from 50 out to 300. And while it does well, it does not do nearly as well as that 308 or a couple of other 308 heavy barrel guns that I have, Remington patterns. So it's just my tale, but of caution that if you're going to buy something, be prepared that I think the common theme that I'm finding now, especially with the all the guns that I have recently purchased in the last year and a half, 2 years, that you will continue to see, you're going to see that I think manufacturing in this new age of firearm, just cutting corners is there. Saving money is there. Quality control is not there. The big corporate dollar and the corporate tax as you go through. I think you just have to realize that our money, when it goes to these manufacturers and these companies that are big conglomerates, you're going to get lemons. There's a percentage, I think, that they accept of having issues out there, like that CVA that I had, that there was another video on. Bergara takes care of their customers. I love that. I just hate the fact that I have to reach out for them, and I would much rather not have to ever use a warranty than that. Now, and likewise, Leupold, who I am a big fan of Leupold, I have never, knock on wood, had to use a scope warranty. I have had to use a rangefinder warranty, and they took care of me. No questions asked. So they have an exceptional one. Some people say Leupold sucks. I thankfully have not had that experience, but I also don't run them as hard as people who are going out every weekend doing competitions with them. I've heard people say they don't track well. That's not my experience with any of the ones that I own. My mid-range loophole optics, they, when I say mid-range, between 500 to 800 range, I don't dial those. They're on hunting guns, so they're zeroed, and I've got drops, and I use the TMR tactical mill reticles, or I use a duplex style reticle. So that said, that's my Bergara story. They took care of me once again. What stinks though is if you look at the stock, this one's got lots of black fleck mixed in, and this one's kind of not quite so much. This stock was nicer, but it sucks. Anyway, I wouldn't say don't buy a Bergara, but I would just say use this cautionary tale. For $1,000, it's an out-of-the-box gun that should work, and it should. But it didn't for me. So I'm batting 2 for 2 of lemons out of the box. The bolt, though, let me go over this. I want to show you that. Is the paddle release. Oh, yeah, my stock's in the way. Gotta drop it. The bolt hits right there. The bolt is a Remington 2-lug bolt assembly. Disassembles the same way and is a much higher quality. So it's almost the same as the Varmint Hunter, except when you go here to the body, it is welded on, not threaded in, so it's a little bit stronger there. And then of course you can remove these with Loctite. So I still have that old bolt on my desk. This is the other one from the Varmint Hunter, which is not a 700 pattern gun. I don't know if I actually said that in the other one. So you cannot interchange it between there. But the Bergara actions can be swapped to anything that a 700 wears. All right, so there is the Bergara B-14 Saga. Now, the Ultradyne Apollo is the first muzzle brake that I chased when I was going for recoil. Pretty cool. This one does have the, these grooves don't go through all the way, so I don't know. This is not the threaded one, so I think this is one that they just machine it the same as their other one where you can screw in the ports. But this is a 5 baffle brake. It is exceptionally recoil reducing. It's probably one of the best recoil reducers of all of them. However, the Area 419s are probably like almost as good as this one. What I really like is I don't have to self-time. Like, so on here, I actually had to put this nut and here and use 2 wrenches to try to get this and find true alignment, whereas the 419, you just put on that base ring, thread it on with a left-hand thread, and you're good to go. So this is a little harder to do initially to get on. So if you're putting it on, taking it off, you do require 2 wrenches, whereas the 419 is hand tight, and it just locks itself, and then you can pull it right off. And if you want, you can leave the 1 base collar on and buy 1 brake, and just buy extra collars for about $40 or so and put them on your gun. So if you really want to save money without having 1 on each gun, you can literally take it off and fit any one. And if that was the case, if you had a 308 and a 6.5 or a 6mm, buy the 30 cal brake, put all the other collars on. They're identical openings underneath, put the collar on and go with the larger one of a 30 cal, and you can use it on any 30 cal all the way down. And again, it won't reduce as much as the smaller 6mm, but it is definitely a good one. All right, and we'll finish up here on the scope on the optic. So large 56mm Athlon. I know this is backwards, so this is the Athlon 5-25 by 56. This is the Midas tack, and I want to say I got this from, I know I got it from Midway or Brownells, and they had a sale, so somewhere in the 500 neighborhood when it was on a good sale. Actually, it was $523 because my birthday is May 23rd, and and I'll say 2010 is my birthday. That's it. But it was the same as that. So going through there, I remember that because it actually came down to the exact same as my birthday. Now, what's neat is on this gun, it does have a zero stop. So unscrew the top cap and then just pull it off, and you can push a little collar down, and then just put it back on, and you're good to go for your zero. It has the side parallax adjustment, and then it has the capped turret for windage, which some shooters do like, especially if you're not dialing the wind. And then we'll see if I can get in here. I don't know if we will be able to go in the opposite way. Yep, cool. Let me zoom in here. And being first focal plane, yeah, I don't think they're going to, reticle grows, but this one does have the Christmas tree reticle that comes out. It's not too cluttered. I want to say it's the P2 or whatever that they have, and it is definitely a nice scope. Crystal clear. There is some chromatic aberration, but it is not terrible. It's not fantastic, but it is much better than most scopes out there. I know there's a lot of people out there who are, to use the YouTube version, shilling for companies. Again, I don't actually get anything from any company. I'd still love a company to send me stuff, but they don't. We're not big enough. The Athlon, though, they're very responsive. You pick up the phone, call them. They're going to tell you what's going on. They're going to get you the product. And this one didn't come with any accessories either. And they said they'd be on a list and they'll send me accessories someday when they come in. So fantastic. That said, the clarity compared to the Leupold Mark IV HD glass, the Mark IV HD, I have some of the original Mark IVs as well, which were exceptional for me. I love them. Again, I'm a Leupold fanboy because that was the original military scope of the day. I mean, Unardal and others are out there, but when I say of the 80s, 90s, 2000s generation, Leupold kind of dominated that, and that's what I grew up with. I had friends deploy with those scopes, and they just hold a special heart, place in my heart, especially for hunting because I've hunted with them for so many years. So it's kind of I am a fanboy of them. However, I'm definitely not stuck to them. So the 525 first focal plane is nice because it grows, but in terms of the reticle, it's actually extremely fine down on those low levels. So from hunting standpoint, I did carry it one day in the woods just to see. I took it to a stand and I was like, I'm going to sit here and see if I can do it. And it really was too fine. And even on the range at some of your mid area, it's actually a little fine. And I've heard some people say that. But the other aspect is that the 300-yard range I shoot at down the road from here in the morning has sun rising directly in front of you. So you're actually shooting into the sun. And I find that the clarity with this and the resolution that you get even with the sun coming through, it does a fantastic job of cutting through that. And you can see your target exceptionally well. So I am actually quite the fanboy of Athlon. It's funny, I think I have probably 6 or 7 Athlon scopes now on a lot of these hunting guns, and I've got a few others. So not everything has to be an expensive scope. Now, some people say, well, $500-600 for a scope is expensive, and again, quality glass to a tool is what allows you to see early in the morning and late at night, and allows you to get you that extra edge, especially if you're putting meat on the table, and allows you to see the target. And that's one of the things that I want to be able to do is identify and see a target, get on target fast, and while I'm there, I want to have the ability to focus on the side. And so overall, I think if you're looking for scopes and you don't want to break the bank, but you would like something that's higher quality, I would highly recommend the Athlon series. And again, I showed in the other one the Midas BTR. This is the Midas Tech. First focal plane, second focal plane for hunting, I think is better in my opinion. I did hunt with a couple of first focal planes this year and had no issues with them. So there you go. That's how it's set up. I'm still using the factory trigger, and I did lighten it just a hair. And yeah, I think if you're looking, you can't go wrong with it, but I would just caution you, go in person, see if you can look at it, make sure things are good. But sadly, with the recoil lug, you're not going to know until you shoot it. But if you do have trouble getting groups, look at those places in the action, check to make sure that you don't have overspray. Even if you have overspray, your recoil lug making contact is more important than those, the 2 spots on there. So as long as you're getting proper recoil lug, contact, you shouldn't have an issue. Luckily, I had other 700s that I could throw in different actions, and then an MDT chassis. Um, and then we'll talk about this one on another time. This is actually one of the new Remingtons. This is in 6.5, and this is in the MDT XRS chassis, which is actually really comfortable. I really like it. It is heavy, but again, for me, I was going for recoil mitigation. This is I did carry this a couple times, but this is a 6.5 Creedmoor threaded barrel with a 3-port Area 419 brake in the KRG. This gun I'm going to talk about as well in terms of hunting. I had the stock that came on it. I did pull it off. I threw this into the chassis. This is the chassis I actually tested the Bergara in. I used the 6.5 to verify it was good. I threw the 6.5 in the other action. It was bad. And then I used my PSS in there as well, and I threw all three, and both Remingtons performed exceptionally. And this is the MPED 3 through 18 second focal plane Bushnell illuminated reticle. We'll talk about all that later. However, it is sexy. So if you can't tell behind me, I've got all my it's like bolt guns and flintlock percussion. It's a couple of my passions. I love modern sporting rifles, ARs. I love Mini 14s. I love guns. Period. They're fantastic. And they're tools, so use them as a tool. Spend your money, but spend your money wisely. And if you're still watching this at this point, we're about 37 minutes into a video, 36 minutes into the video. Don't hesitate to give Bergara and CVA your money. Just do yourself a favor. And what I would suggest, look at it, check it out, make sure everything functions. If you have any issues, don't hesitate to pick up the phone or send an email to them. They will make it right. But before you go out on a hunt, make sure that gun is tested, and any gun is tested. Make sure your zeros are in, and make sure that the parts are functioning. The varmint would have been fine, but it was a single feed. It would not, it was extracting, but it would not eject because the ejector was stuck inside of the body. So would it have worked in a hunting situation? Sure. But the answer is roll the gun, get the brass out, go and close it, which means if you're trying to do a follow-up shot at, medium to longer range, you may have that time. Close up, you're not going to. So a gun functioning properly is a huge deal. And having that confidence in that firearm is also a huge deal. I am happy with the Bergara, but that said, for a little less money, you can buy some of the Remingtons, and I've had fantastic luck with Remingtons my whole life. I avoided Remington during their Rem years where they, Rustingtons was, I guess, a good name for them. They put out a shit product for a long time, which caused some problems with the factory. I actually have a couple of the 40X series and another PSS. And one I had to take down when I came up from Florida. I actually took down to Remington. I was visiting and got it at a buddy's wedding. So when I drove up and I took it, and I actually drove to Ilion, kind of did a side trip. Got to tour their factory before they, I think, left. They're out of Ilion now, but got to tour the factory. They had a gorgeous museum there. And $40 or $70 later, they were able to fix the problems in the back, and that one has worked flawless since then. And my wife uses it. She calls it her precious, and that's her hunting gun because I put her up in a tree fort. That's where she hunts. So I'm going to tell you the biggest benefit to the Bergara area is that shorter degree bolt throw on the Remington action style that they have versus, I think, 60 degree versus 80 degree or 90 degree. You come way up on the old styles. The newer style, you're coming up, bolts out, and it is a paddle style. So throwing it in, you don't have to hold a paddle. But check that out. This one doesn't rotate because of those locking lugs that go in the channel. So actually, and this might still be it is the full Remington throw on there. Let me make sure. This is the same thing. This one just shoots, and it's slicker and shit. came that way from the factory. I mean, what do you expect from a precision gun back in the day built by the custom smiths? I do love this one. And you guys will see this one eventually. And then this, since we're briefly showing some stuff here, this is a WIT custom built thread adapter for me for that. And then this is an MDT brake, which their collar, which is actually an easy system, just threads on, so you kind of hold it in place, align it, tighten it down. But this is a custom built taper, and so you actually measure your barrel profile, and then you Loctite everything on nice and tight. And so far, I have had zero issue with it coming loose. It's actually has not changed point of aim, which was actually really cool. So I can go on or off with this brake, and I can shoot it with the adapter on with just the thread showing with a little cap if I don't want the brake on there, and it does not change point of aim. So very, very cool. Makes the whole profile, because this was a 26-inch barrel, makes it almost 29 inches, 29.5 inches now. So it is a nice long barrel, and then you throw it in that chassis. But we'll do something else on that later. And we'll follow this up. And then what I'm going to do is we'll get in some more of these videos, and I'll talk about in their hunting configurations all the way through, and some of the stuff that I've done to change them, and what I like and don't like about them. But Bergara puts out a good warranty, and it seems like they put out a decent product. I can't attest to out-of-the-box success. I can talk to the warranty process of how awesome they are in taking care of that. So that said, give Athlon a shot if you haven't. Check them out. If you can go to a store, check them out. Definitely, I'm highly impressed with them. And I have some of the new Vortex glass as well. And compared to the Vortex to the Athlon, I actually would give the edge to the Athlon. Their 18 HD glass is really good. Chromatic aberration compared to the HD glass coming out on the Mark IVs. The new stuff goes to the Mark IV. Some people don't like them. Some people don't like the clicks. I actually really like the reticle that I have in the Loophole. So much so that I wish they would make that reticle on a first focal plane in the Mark IV series. Or I'm sorry, second focal plane, so that I could hunt with that and get that same reticle hold. I can dream. So anyway, I get all of that out of an Athlon for a third of the price. So I'm going to stick with the Athlon, and they get illumination, so you're not paying Loophole premium for illumination. Vortex, so I would actually rate glass-wise for functionality to use. I would say Athlon, Vortex, and sadly, because of price, Loophole. Clarity-wise goes to the Loophole, followed up by Athlon, so close to the Vortex, especially the new glass, which coming out. So hard to say, but for the money, hands down goes to Athlon every time. And again, you guys know me. Sadly, I don't have any sponsors for this, so I hope this helps. Anyway, that's the Bergara. That's the woes and troubles and tribulations that I have experienced. Hopefully you haven't. I do know that going on Reddit when I was researching my problem, within a week's time, 3 other individuals posted the same problem. I gave them my solution, gave them the contact information, and we were able to get them going as well. And as far as I know, they were taken care of as well. But as a new shooter, and especially somebody who's new getting into guns, if you're a new shooter and that's your experience and that's your first gun, you may not know what to do, and you reach out, so you may get a sour taste in your mouth. If you don't have experienced shooters around that near you, and you don't have something to test to make sure it's functioning, that sucks. So anyway, this video is going long enough. I hope everybody's staying safe, and I will talk to you all later, and I hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe, and share if you get benefit out of this, and I will continue putting out information on these guns, because let's face it, we're all hardworking people, and we want products that work. And how do we get that? Reviews like this and people sharing their experiences, whether you love them or hate them. It is a product, it's a tool, and it's meant to function. And both of mine out of the box did not function as they should. Took a little bit getting there, and that's frustration, and that's a lot of time and money. All right, everyone stay safe.